Hello, friends, and welcome back to Civics Minute from Volunteer State Community College. My name's Brady Duncan, and I'm here today to talk with you all about the exciting world of tariffs. A complex subject that I've received loads of questions about from my students over the past year or so. A tariff is simply a tax. Specifically, it's a tax that a country applies to imports brought into that country from other countries. And tariffs can target goods from a specific nation, several nations or a region, or the entire world outside of the boundaries of the country that applies the tariffs. And tariffs are used for a variety of different purposes we'll get to in just a moment, but what you need to know up front is that they artificially increase the cost of any foreign goods that they are applied to that are brought into a country's borders. And tariffs function in several different ways. Most of them are what are referred to as ad valorem tariffs, or tariffs by volume, that apply a percentage-based tax to certain goods or industries from other countries, such as a 25% tax on all textiles from Bangladesh, for example. Just like the sales taxes or income taxes that you may be familiar with paying annually here. But there's other types of tariffs too. Some are what are called specific tariffs, and these, instead of relying on percentages, apply a flat fee onto the price of all goods in a certain category or from a certain nation, like $5 on every microchip imported from Taiwan, for instance. Finally, there are what are referred to as tariff rate quotas, special, more strategic policies that apply tariffs or increase tariffs that already exist pretty substantially if a certain volume and amount of goods from a certain country or certain industry are imported to a country within a certain time frame, exceeding a time-based quota. These, as I said, are more strategic and generally intended to prevent a country's market, its economy, from getting overwhelmed with relatively low-cost or low-quality mass imports. The other types of tariffs are applied usually a bit more broadly. Important things to know about tariffs, other than just what they are and how they function, are that tariffs are almost always paid by the importer, that is, the person, the business, or the government agency responsible for bringing goods into the country, for purchasing them, and not by the government that applied the tariffs, and certainly not by the government or the business in another country from which the goods were purchased. This is one of the most common misconceptions about tariffs that I personally hear in the classroom on a regular basis. The other important thing to note about tariffs is they are frequently associated with an economic philosophy called protectionism, which argues that to strengthen a country's economy and therefore create the best economic opportunities for people like me and you, it's imperative to resist and undercut foreign competition that would lower the value of domestically produced goods. And tariffs are often employed as a means to do this, to artificially increase the costs of foreign-made goods so that the prices of domestic goods can be raised. More on that in a moment. Finally, before we carry on, it's important to note that while there are arguments for tariffs and specific types of tariffs in select political and economic circumstances, based on the vast majority of the research I've done for these presentations, there's not a lot of good scholarly research backing up any utility for broad sweeping tariffs in a post-industrial high-income nation like the United States, Japan, or Germany. Very, very little, in fact.